Welcome back to The Big Idea. Tonight we have big ideas that are so simple they hurt. They're those, why didn't I think of that ideas? They are always staring you right in the face, and we always seem to think of them after it's too late. My next guest came up with a multi-million-dollar idea by asking a simple question. Why have people been writing the same exact way for thousands of years? Colin Roche, welcome to Big Idea, man.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, before we reveal your idea, which is so simple, you go, duh, as all the good ones are, and that's what this show is about tonight, because you go, no, why would I have not written this way?
Right.
Let's go back to detention in the 8th grade, because this was the beginning of the idea. First of all, why the hell were you put in detention?
I like to say I had too many tardies, but I need to make up a better story for that. But it's generally because I was probably too tardy to classes, and then if you have too many, they give you one in the sort of the big house, you know, an all-day Saturday school, just like Breakfast Club.
I was going to say Breakfast Club,
just like Breakfast Club.
But no Ali Sheedy, though, so it's even worse, right?
No, no, no.
So you're sitting there, what happens?
So I'm sitting there, and, you know, it's basically from 8 to 5, and it's an all-day deal, and so at lunchtime I bought this little toy robot, this little keychain thing, that when you twisted it, you could twist it into a pen, or you could twist it into a little robot. And so when I was goofing around with it, you know, because they make you can't just sit there and fall asleep.
No.
So I was just kind of playing with this thing, and when I turned it upside down, the two little legs looked like a crutch for your finger.
Okay.
So I thought, that's interesting. Because I used to get bad writer's cramp, you have to understand that.
Everybody, honestly, I still write manually a lot. Yeah, and it's like, first of all, you get the ink, and you get, it hurts afterwards.
Yeah, it hurts
put down and go like this. Okay.
That was me in high school.
Yeah.
So I picked up a stick pen, and I went, what am I doing? I'm squeezing, and I'm pushing down. And that must be where I get, you know, my attention. And that was just the general idea. So, hey, this has an, you know, what if we could tap into the weight of the hand? Because your hand has a weight to it, right? Yeah. Then, therefore, I wouldn't have to squeeze anymore. I wouldn't have to push down anymore.
Okay.
So I borrowed a lighter, you know, I ripped off the arms, and I snapped the pen in two, and I I melted the pen right onto the tip of the head.
Did you have lighters in detention?
Well, there's also a lot of stoners in detention, so it's pretty easy to get.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
That's all right.
John Nelson shows up, right, okay, right.
So you know, that was sort of the genesis of the idea. It was that aha moment. And so, you know, people thought, you know, what are you doing? I think the prompter came over here and said, you're stinking up the classroom with, you know, toxins. And, and so when I went home that night, we have a garage that's just like the HP Invent garage. Okay. And my dad's a scientist, so we used to always tinker anyway. So I went in there and gunked up, you know, all his soldering irons, making little, you know, plastic formations. And I'll be damned if I didn't come up with a pretty good, you know, representation of it.
You came up with something that eventually turned into this.
Yes.
And we call this
the PenAgain.
But you write with this thing, it is the most comfortable, you could write for 10 hours with this thing. Just, you see, it's just the most interesting thing in the entire world. I'm telling you, this is like a different writing experience. It's basically a piece of plastic, a clip. This thing is ingenious.
Thank you.
And you go, yeah, why didn't I think of this?
Right.
It's the most amazing thing. Take me to how you got, so you had the idea in high school, years go by, you're in college, what happens?
So while I was in college, you know, I always used to, I mean, I've been constantly thinking about this. I mean, some would say consumed by it. And really where the name came from is probably most important, is a friend had called me throughout this whole odyssey and said, hey, you know, how's it going? And he knew me from high school. I said, that's so weird you called. I was just thinking about the pen again. And we went, hey, that's sort of a catchy name because it's a reintroduction of the pen, you know, it's like, you know, something to come back to.
And how did you, okay, so somebody at home says, wow, that's a cool idea, I have ideas like that, I don't know how to go. How did you actually turn this into a business?
Well, there's another part to this that half of this whole business, his name's Bobby Ronci, he's a brilliant engineer, and he's a mechanical engineer, which is exactly what you need to be able to do CAD files.
Wait a second, what's a CAD file?
CAD file is computer-aided design. That's where you basically break down anything that you want to make, turns it into a 3D image that they can then turn into a prototype off of a computer, basically.
I got it. That's cool.
So we had sat down, basically, him and I had started a business in college, nifty little business where we learned a lot and got a lot of different attention and learned how to basically start a business. So we said, hey, later on in life, why don't we start something and, you know, go for it. And so I was on my 30th birthday, and we were sitting there, and I told him, look, I finally set aside enough money, it's like $5,000, to make a prototype, get this done, and just so I can shut the hell up about it, because people were getting seriously sick of me talking about it. And,
you eventually built a prototype. Great part of the story is how you got in front of the buyer from Walmart. Because what people don't realize is you can get in front of these people with a new idea. So you actually, how'd you make that happen?
We basically went to a trade show. We used all of our last funds. It was like a $15,000 trade show where you're guaranteed meetings with these big buyers. And it was in between one big hurricane, and then there was another one on the way, and then there was our trade show. So something like 50% of the buyers didn't show up. Right. And it was so, I mean, it was one of the low points of our whole business career. So I went up to the head person and said, look, all I care about is Walmart. That's what we're trying to get this into. And they said, I'm sorry, but they're not coming. But she just emailed me and gave me this message saying, anybody I'm supposed to meet with, have them call me. And
that was nice, that part, because they realized people had gone out of their way to do that.
Yeah.
How'd you make your first sale? Give me the first sale when you sold this thing in. First retailer.
The very first retailer I went into, it was in Palo Alto, California. It was called Edwards Luggage. I walked into it and said, look, I'm a local guy. I was in Palo Alto High School. I thought of this. I don't have any packaging. I don't even know what price to do. But, you know, my wife put up a real nice little trifold with a ribbon on it and a little plastic bag. Said, can we just try selling these? And he said, no problem at all.
Guys, I hear it again on the show. You got something that's good. Figure out how to make one of them.
Yeah.
Bring it into a store and say, sir, I have a product for you.
Yes.
Colin Roche, founder and co-owner of PenAgain, another. Why the hell did I not think of this? Guys, you got to get this thing. It's a new way to write. It's that simple. More ideas so simple, make you want to hit yourself in the head and say,